proclamation that we can go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Need a few more farmers.
There we are back again. So, well, you got a good audience, 17 people I see here, so that's all good.
See, we do have someone on the phone. If that individual is able to indicate who they are, we'll change your name.
Yes, it's Chris Strutt on the phone.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Chris. Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Okay, I think let me do a quick count here, sorry. We'll have one more person joining and we'll be ready to go.
Carrie just joined.
Yes, I have. Oh, Carrie, sorry. Excellent. So we have our 9, so you do have quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Ag Advisory Committee meeting for June 4th, 2025. This is our second one for the year. At the last one, I said that we were hoping for green grass by this meeting, and so we definitely have green grass. It's been a cold spring, but we have green grass, so that's great. Thanks to everyone for joining us today, and for anyone that's watching from home, thank you for spending time and listening to some farmers and counselors, etc. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. First off, we have a new member, Chris Strutt, and so Hugh Simpson moved out of the area, so he resigned his position and Chris Strutt has taken it over. So we'd like to welcome Chris. And in light of that, we have not done roundtable introductions for a very long time. So I have asked Brittany to call out your name. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, if you're a farmer, what type of farming you do, and what brings you to this committee, who are you representing? So Brittany will call out your name and then we can all get to know each other a little bit better.
Okay, so we have Warden Matrasovs.
And she was having connectivity issues, but I think she may have joined us. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm in now. Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself, Warden Matrasovs?
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Matrasovs. I'm the mayor of the town of Blue Mountains, and I am serving here as the warden of Grey County. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
We also have Councillor Hutchinson.
Morning, everyone. Tom Hutchinson, Deputy Mayor, West Grey. I'm on Grey County as a counselor, and I'm not in the agricultural sector. I do have a home garden, but we'll leave it at that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Keaveney.
Good morning, everyone. Shirley Keaveney, Deputy Mayor, Municipality of Meaford, and also a Grey County Councillor. I did grow up on a fruit and dairy farm, which my brother took over, and we also operated a farm market here in Meaford for many years. So I have a tiny bit of background in ag, and I'm super interested in the work of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor McQueen.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And my name is Paul McQueen. I'm the mayor of the municipality of Grey Highlands. We live on a 6th generation cow-calf beef farm with my boys. We farm together with my dad as well, who's 91. And certainly agriculture was in my genes all my life. And look forward to everybody having a great conversation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Counselor Mackey.
And I don't know if Counselor Mackey has joined us quite yet.
Okay. We also have Counselor Milne who sends his regrets. We also have Blair Freeman.
Blair will be about 15 or 20 minutes late as well.
And Brenda.
Hello, my name is Brenda Schrey. I'm an organic sheep farmer in Grey County, Chatsworth Township, and I'm here as part of the NFU for Grey County.
Brenda.
And Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie Davenport. I am an agriculture business owner that works with cash croppers locally in Grey and Bruce counties, as well as I have a cash crop operation. I'm a part of the Ag Advisory Committee.
Chris.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Chris Strutt. I'm a lifelong resident of the East Backline in Artemisia, the former Artemisia Township in Grey Highlands. I'm a full-time farmer. We milk 40 purebred jerseys and have 80 spring cow-calf operation. Farm with my parents on the dairy side and my wife and 2 teenage sons on the beef side. I just opportunity to join this committee to add some insight to Grey County. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris, and welcome to the committee. We look forward to all of your input.
Diane.
Hello. I'm having computer problems this morning and connectivity. My name's Diane Booker, and we have a cow-calf operation in Meaford, and I'm representing the Grey County Federation of Agriculture on the committee.
Thanks so much, Diane.
And I believe Gail will also be joining, but just a little bit later. We have Keith.
Good morning, everyone. Keith Reed. We farm northeast of Owen Sound in Meaford, a little community called Annan, and we have beef cattle, sheep, and some cash crop, as well as I work with the Grey Settlement Conservation Authority and a program called ALICE in putting in environmental type projects on farmland, as well currently the president of the Grey County Federation.
Thank you, Keith.
We have Rob.
And I don't see Rob online with us yet.
Okay, and Simon.
Simon de Boer, and I'm somewhat of an outlaw because I'm representing CFFO, Christian Farmers Federation, but I do live in Bruce County. So I hope you don't hold that against me. Still farming after all these years and involved in a fair number of agricultural related organizations.
And you're a dairy farmer, correct, Simon?
Well, I milk the cows anyhow, so whatever that makes me, but yeah.
Thank you, Simon.
And then lastly, we have yourself, Lori.
So I'm Lori Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Gray Ag Services. I've been there for 20 years this year. And we have a small cow-calf operation near, Keith said small community of Annan. You won't know if I say small community of Goring is where our farm is near. So my community is smaller than yours, Keith. So yeah, so that's, I'm happy to be the chair for this committee. Andrea, you do have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. And just hearing all the introductions and the connection to agriculture, and I think maybe Egypt on the Blue Mountains Euphrasia town line where I live might be even smaller. But I did want to just add that I am actually an active member of the Ecological Farmers Association of Ontario. I do have a small holding. I have about 3,000 basket willows, so I raise that as a perennial crop, and just recently did some a research grant with the Ecological Farmers Association in terms of spacing trials. So I do have that connection. And looking over at Emily there in the box, the other thing that I love to do is I'm the flower class chair for our agricultural fair every year at the Beaver Valley Community Center. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. The willow sounds interesting. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so we have all been introduced by the looks of things. Anyone that we've missed? I don't imagine Brittany's missed anyone, so we'll go forward. Any declarations of interest this morning? Please raise your hand if so. Seeing none, if any should arise during the course of the meeting, please make it known at that time. We have one delegation this morning. Emily McKegg from Gray Ag Services is here today to give us an Experimental Acres Project Summary 2025. Are you ready to roll, Emily?
Yep, definitely. And while Emily just gets her screen set up there, I'll just note that Councillor Ardell has joined us now.
Welcome, Gail.
Is that sharing my...
Yes, it is.
There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So yeah, I am Emily McKegg. I work for Gray Ag Services with Lori. Also a sheep farmer at home in my spare time. And yeah, very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm going to give an update on Experimental Acres and what we're working on this summer. Just for a little bit of background, Experimental Acres is a program that's funded by Grey County. It was run as a pilot in Grey County in 2023 and administered by Wellington County staff at that point because they started the program. In 2024, we did our first official year and Gray Ag administered the program for Grey County. And then we're now into year 2 with 2025. So the program aligns with Grey County's Climate Action Plan goal to increase the number of acres under sustainable best management practices. And the goal is to hopefully build climate resiliency, maybe increase the sequestration of carbon or decrease our carbon footprint by using those best management practices. So in February, we accepted applications for the 2025 projects. And then in March, we had a committee that did a blind review of all of the projects and selected 6 to go forward with for the summer. The projects receive a little bit of funding, and they also get help with monitoring their projects throughout the summer. And we hope that we can get some results, whether good or bad, by the end of the summer, and something to learn from and to share with other producers and keep that good momentum going forward. We had 15 applications in 2025, and the 6 that we came away with had a good span across the whole county, I think, as well as a pretty broad span of farm size and production types. So I'll just give a quick run through of what they all were. Our first one was Anthony Rabideau. He's down in Southgate, the very, very bottom of the county, I think as far as we could get. He is a new producer who's putting in a fruit orchard, and he wants to compare ramial mulch around the bottom of some of the fruit trees against nothing, or he's got different replicates within his little orchard. So ramial mulch is created by mulching branches that are 4 inches in diameter or less. And the thought there is that those branches are more metabolically active. There's more nutrient value in that. So as the mulch breaks down, it can support soil nutrients and more soil life, hopefully. And yeah, like I said, Anthony's got different replicates in around the trees that he's planted, and he's going to study those as the summer goes on. Our second participant is Josh By, and he's in the Annan area, Meaford Municipality. He has, he's a cash crop and cow-calf producer along with his dad, and they're going to look at using a 15-acre chunk of land that normally overwinters cattle and gets quite beat up and a little bit degraded to do some trials for forage production. So he's going to start the summer by planting, and he just got it in the ground actually, a mix of warm season annuals, which will then be strip grazed in the hot summer months, July and August, when the rest of our pastures usually are in a little bit of a production slump. Once that full 15 acres has been strip grazed, he's going to split it up into 3 sections. 5 acres will be left to regrow with those warm season annuals. He's going to no-till seed a cool season annual mix into another 5 acres. And then he's going to no-till a warm season perennial grass into the final 5 acres. And he's going to compare the production and the palatability, the ability to graze, and use that as a way to feed his cattle and also to rejuvenate those areas as well. Our third producer is Jillian Griffin. Jillian is a flower producer in Chatsworth area, and she's looking at using poultry, actually specifically turkeys, to add fertility to a section of land that'll be worked up and put into flower production the following year. And she's going to do that by rotating turkeys around the area, and then she's also going to compare it with different rates of compost, which she would normally use to amend the soil, and do a bit of a side-by-side trial with those. On to number 4, we have Peter Kotzeff. He is a cash crop and cow-calf producer. He's got a number of farms in West Grey and Georgian Bluffs area, and he's going to be experimenting on a few different fields within those. So he's looking at using an ATV to broadcast turnip seed into fields after they're harvested. He's going to go after an oat and triticale crop and after a wheat crop. And those fields have variations of with or without clover underseeding. So he's got, again, some different replicates, and he's going to compare just the efficacy of broadcast seeding turnip onto those fields and how well it establishes under different conditions. And then he's going to use the turnip as a cover crop, and he's going to strip graze it in the fall with his cow-calf herd. And Peter was actually a returning applicant. He had a project last year as well. So, and then new application this year, and he was successful in getting that. Our 5th participant is Wade Deacon, also a returning applicant. He had one project last year, a new one this year. So he's looking at improving the success of summer seeding a hay stand, which will then be in production for 2 or 3 years going forward. Wade said that he wants to put his hay in directly after his wheat. This will keep plants roots in the ground through the winter in 25, 26, and then hopefully establish a better crop in 26. And he said that he usually struggles with getting dense swaths of volunteer wheat come up in the field after the combine's gone through when he tries to establish it this way. So he's just going to do a little bit of extra field work. He's going to spread the straw really wide out of the combine, then rake it back into rows, and hopes that that will disperse the wheat seed across the field better and minimize the density of the swaths that show up in the hay. So he'll get a better crop in 2026. And then our final participant is Dr. Christina Allen. She has a small, I would say it's an abandoned orchard maybe, not in active production when she bought the property, and gone fairly wild. And she's looking at creating apple guilds at the base of her trees. She's hoping to rejuvenate the trees and also use biodiversity to bring that land back. So she's going to work with permaculture techniques. She hopes to plant a variety of different things that will carry out different tasks. So things like nitrogen fixing, creating channels in the soil for air and water, and maybe pest suppression. And she has her property, the orchard, would have included the neighboring property as well. And so she's working with her neighbors to actually do some nutrient testing on apples that come out of the guild trees, along with apples that come out of trees, the same trees, but growing on the neighbor's mown lawn. So biodiversity and not so much is the comparison there. So if you guys would like any more information, we hope to do some updates on social media over the summer. There's also information on Grey County's Experimental Acres website, and on Grey Ag's website, we have an Experimental Acres page. Those contain the 2024 project summary document if you'd like to take a look at what we did last year and what the outcomes were. And we also have some really great participant interview videos posted on there too. So, and yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Thanks so much, Emily. Excellent presentation. Megan Miles has put a link there in the chat if you want to click on that to get more information. Yeah, wonderful stuff, Emily. The projects look fantastic. Does anyone have any questions or comments? You can use the raise hand feature to let us know. Or Chris, if you just want to, if you have any questions during the course of the meeting, just blurt it out and we'll get you in here. So questions for Emily, please. Or comments.
I'd just like to throw out like a really big thank you to Megan as well for all of the work that she's done on this. And then Linda is on board this year, and Rebecca Denard was running it last year. So it's a great thing to have in the county, I think.
Yeah, Grey Ag's very happy that Grey County has gotten us to administer this program, and Emily's doing a fantastic job with it with Grey County support. Keith, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the comment too. I was able to help with the selection of these projects. Maybe Emily, if you could just note that there was lots of other applicants as well. Could you just maybe highlight how many applicants were applying, and just to kind of show the importance of the program, and continuing this on is something that's important for keeping producers aware that these projects are happening. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had 15 applicants this year. We had 18 applicants last year, but I think that we're floating pretty consistent in those terms. And I think that it's really nice to see the variety of production, like operation sizes, and also of types of operations. So we're reaching a lot of different people, whether they're a brand new farmer or it's a multi-generational farm. And also, we've got a couple of producers who have maybe 1,200 acres under production, and they're still experimenting, and this program is beneficial to them. And we have 2 producers this year who are brand new and starting out. So, and we saw that in the past 2 years as well, a really good span of lots of different folks getting involved. So.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Megan, please.
Yeah, just to add to that, we really, it's a really great opportunity to collaborate with Grey Ag Services that work so closely with the agricultural community. Just to build on what Emily said, so the selection committee, we do a blind scoring using a rubric, and that's how these projects were selected. And it's really been great over the last few years to see the growth in awareness of the program. We had our video playing on a loop in the lunchroom at Grey Bruce Farmers Week this past year, which I think really raised awareness of the program, and just that knowledge sharing network that we're continuing to try to build through our events. Last year we had a farm tour as well as a year-end networking event, which we'll do again this year, and hoping to open that up to other folks that are interested in maybe applying next year and want to see what's been done and some of the lessons learned. So really great to see the Experimental Acres network grow both in Grey County and beyond, with our neighboring counties that also are running the program.
Thank you, Megan. Anyone else? Seeing none. Emily, thank you so much for that presentation. Oh, there's Brenda.
Sorry, I just wanted to note that one of the great things about this program is, of course, Gray Egg Services and Emily's help in running these programs. I have been a past participant, including in the first test year when Wellington was running it, and they also did a great job. But I know this will sound weird to point it out. One of the great things about this program is the low amount of paperwork involved, because any farmer who is used to any of the granting programs across federal government, provincial government, anything else, this is the lowest barrier to entry, the least amount of paperwork, and we're getting incredible projects that are yielding great information. So I really commend the county and Gray Ag Services for understanding that and not turning it into the type of granting program that really actually pushes farmers away at different levels of government. Thanks.
Great comment, Brenda. And thank you for participating in the project as well. And yeah, it's good to hear those comments. Okay, then thank you, Emily. That was wonderful. And we will move on in our agenda. In terms of items for direction or discussion, we have 2 today. First off, planning verbal update of the beaver, coyote, and tree bylaw consultations. I believe Sarah Johnson and Scott Taylor are doing that today.
Great. Thanks, Chair Smith. Yeah, I don't think we have Sarah online with us today, but I'm happy to provide an update on her behalf, although I would acknowledge that she's been doing most of the heavy lifting on these portfolios. So thank you to Sarah for that. For those that have been with the committee for a while, you will recall that we've discussed these matters at both the December 5th meeting and the March 5th meeting with respect to the county's update of our forest management bylaw, as well as our beaver and coyote bounty programs. I would also like to say thank you to our chair and the Gray Ag Services team for hosting an open house that we had on all 3 matters on April 23rd. I wasn't able to attend, but for those that did, they said it was a very fruitful discussion in that regard. And then through County Council, we held 2 public meetings towards the beginning of May, one for the forest management bylaw and one for the beaver and coyote programs. We have heard lots of feedback on these programs. At the public meetings, we were sort of asking people to put in their comments, ideally by the end of May. That said, if there's anyone on this committee or if you're aware of anyone through personal or professional networks, we're still happy to take any comments. Certainly no decisions have been made yet. We are hearing a diverse range of opinions on the forest management bylaw. We've heard from a number of people in the forestry industry with their detailed comments. I'd say to a lesser degree, we've heard from some in the agricultural or farm community, and then we've heard some sort of what I'll classify as more general members of the public. There's some support for some of the new changes in the bylaw. There's some questions about how some of the new changes would work, and then there's some changes that that people would like to see further adjusted. One of the comments that seems to be coming up a lot on both the pro and the con category is the county's potential shift away from circumference limit harvesting within private woodlots in that regard. So the committee may be aware that we had a draft of the forest management bylaw prepared. Now that we've got lots of comments in, and we may still get a few more comments in, staff are going to work to look at all those comments and see what further changes might need to be made to the draft bylaw before preparing a finalized version for consideration by County Council, perhaps in the fall, depending on the feedback and stuff we get there. With respect to the beaver and coyote programs, we've heard a fair bit of feedback on this as well. And again, it's never one-sided. There's those, particularly in the agricultural community, that have told us these are absolutely essential programs and that the county needs to continue on with them. We've heard from a number of the trappers themselves who gave us some very detailed information on their processes, how they're compensated, the fur market, so lots there. And then we've heard from some others with respect to some concerns about the program and whether or not there's any less lethal ways of containing both beavers and coyotes in that regard. With respect to the beaver and coyote bylaws, we didn't have a revised drafts of the bylaws prepared. So we are going to be looking at all the feedback received. I think there's a few things we're going to have to follow up on with some additional research in that regard. and then hopefully look at preparing some further information for council's consideration again, ideally in the fall. So we don't have any further formal public open houses or meetings scheduled. Certainly, if we are looking at changes significantly to either program, we could look at that in the future. But just to say that we thank everybody for their feedback to date. And if people have any further feedback on the forest management bylaw, you can email force@gray.ca. On the Beaver and Coyote, you can email trapping@gray.ca, or you're always welcome to reach out to either Sarah Johnson or myself. We're really enjoy digging into this stuff, and we'd be happy to chat further about any of it. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair, and certainly happy to take any questions if there are any.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Scott on any of these bylaws? Please raise your hand or speak out. Seeing none, Scott, you're off the hook for that one, it looks like. And so you also will be giving a planning update on official plan amendment 23.
Great. Thank you again, Chair Smith. Yeah, so the committee may recall, it's been a bit of a time since then, but we had taken an early draft discussion on official plan amendment number 23 to the September 19th Agricultural Advisory Committee and got some feedback from the committee at that time. Just as a bit of a refresher, official plan amendment number 23 was looking at changes primarily to the county official plans rural designation policies to clarify some terminology and some permitted uses in there with respect to uses that the county plan permits on farms in the rural designation, but might not necessarily also be permitted in the agricultural designation. So through the feedback we heard from the public and the feedback we heard from this committee, staff went back and refined official plan amendment number 23. There were some changes made to terms such as agriminiums or residential farm cooperatives in the official plan. There was also some changes made with respect to where you might be looking at special event uses on farms. So if it's a one-off harvest fair, for example, versus if it's more a dedicated event space, if somebody's building, say, a wedding barn or an on-farm event venue in that regard, there's some further clarifications in those policies. So those policies have since been approved by County Council, and I'm very pleased to say there was no appeals on this official plan amendment. So those changes are in force and effect. So they don't affect applications which are already in process, but they do affect new proposals or applications going forward. So that's just a very high level summary, but certainly if there are any questions, be happy to take them now or happy to chat offline with any of the committee members if you have any detailed questions in that regard.
Any questions or comments for Scott? Blair, do you have a question? Perhaps he's just switching over from his, well, not sure. I'll just give him a second in case he does. Gail, you have a question or a comment?
I do have a comment, but I'll touch base with Scott later. It's regarding these condominiums in besides specialty eggs, and I know it's done and we need to move on, but I just think it's doesn't create an environment that the agricultural area in the Blue Mountains is very thrilled with. Not being being a farmer myself and seeing what's going to happen here is I'll just have a comment with Scott later.
Okay, thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Scott?
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for your comments, Gail. Happy to chat with you or set up a time to chat with you. Just for the committee's benefit, one of the changes that was made through these policies was with respect to two terms we use in the county official plan called an agriminium or a residential farm cooperative. In both cases, these terms were put in the county plan, concepts were put in the county plan in 2019. At the time, through council's direction, in looking at potentially eliminating financial barriers for new or young farmers getting into the industry. So the thought at that time was that in the rural designation, so not on our prime ag lands or specialty crop lands, you might have a situation where 3 young families go together to buy a property and to share the work on that property for farm purposes, and each want to also live on the property. So whether it be done through a condominium structure or through what's called an agriminium, or whether they looked at a cooperative structure, we thought there was merit in exploring that further. What happened between 2019 and, well, I guess now 2025, is we started to see a few of these proposals come forward. I'll say in ways that staff, and I don't want to speak for the county council today, but my hunch is in ways that neither staff nor the previous county council envisioned. And in some cases, some of the proposals we were seeing were much greater than what we thought. So rather than, 3 young families getting together to cooperatively buy a 100-acre farm, these were starting to look and feel a lot more like a rural plan of subdivision, in that you could have 30 or more houses being proposed on a farm. And that was one of the main reasons we brought forward this official plan amendment number 23. So as I said, it doesn't apply to those applications that are already in process or before a tribunal. But we hope that we've further clarified at least the intent of staff and what we believe to be the intent of council, such that going forward, these would be on a much more small scale basis, and there's higher criteria in there requiring the farm elements to ensure that hopefully these policies don't become just rural residences that are unconnected to farming in that regard. So again, Gail, I'm happy to chat with you offline in that regard, but I just want to clarify for the rest of the committee, because some of this does have detailed history going back to 2018, 2019, so it might be useful. But with that, I'll turn it back to the chair.
Thanks, Scott. We appreciate that extra information. Paul, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question through you to Scott. The price of 100-acre farms today is approaching over 30,000 an acre, and if a multi-generation or maybe a siblings wanted to purchase that farm, is that still going to be allowed, and how would that work? Because it's so unrealistic that today somebody could farm 100 acres and pay over $3 million. So I just asked that question because sometimes it may take more than one family to be able to afford or have that ability to live on that farm and still have a farm income as well. So I don't think we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I never thought to ask that question before, but I just where is that balance on that, if that's still the intent?
For you, Madam Chair. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor McQueen. That's great to clarify. So through what has been passed by County Council, the county will still allow for some of these cooperative models or an agriminium type approach. It's just far reduced in scale. So rather than having 30 to 50 owners, you could potentially have 4 owners if it was a 100-acre farm kind of thing. That said, if there was a situation where young or not so young farmers wanted to collectively buy farmland, the county official plan doesn't do anything to change those ownership rights in that regard. So if people wanted to buy it as a corporation, or if people wanted to buy it jointly, there's nothing in there that would change that. Where the county official plan would come in that regard would be if they wanted to go beyond sort of a house and a barn and drive shed and everything else, and they wanted to actually have housing for multiple families on there. And certainly there's already provisions that would allow for you to build a house or build a house for farm labor or a secondary suite. But it was more if you wanted to get into a situation where each owner, owned a portion of the farm, so to speak, and could have their own home on the farm. That's where we get into kind of this agrominium model or the residential farm cooperative. So we've kept that door open through the county official plan, but we've just narrowed the number of residences that could be built on those farms such that they don't become de facto plans of subdivision in that regard. I hope that helps clarify, but certainly happy to further clarify if need be.
No, thank you for that. I think that was good clarification for this committee as well, and so you're not going to have 30 siblings have just so saying. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Gail? Oops, you're muted.
Didn't unmute there. A question to Scott again. So what happens when these multi-millionaire homes do become defunct and they don't want to farm? I have many millionaires who live around beside me here, and they don't want to farm. That's why we're farming their land for them. So how do we keep that as specialty ag and the crops on it when nobody's going to farm it? And how is that incorporated then into this corporation of, and it does become defunct? Because I live in the Blue Mountains area here, and there's multi-million-dollar homes here, and now we're going to have 31 between the price of 3 million and 5 million. I can't see these people farming. I really can't, especially when they will be seasonal people coming up on weekends only. What do we do in 6 years from now when nobody wants to farm this land, or they've clear cut it and done different things to it? What safeguards are we going to put in place?
Thanks, Gail. Scott, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your question, Gail. So I think we are talking about two slightly different things here. Official Plan Amendment number 23 was a broad-based amendment that is looking at the county's rural policies going forward. I believe what you're referring to is what's known as the Thornbury Acres development. And so maybe just to distinguish between the two, Official Plan Amendment number 23 in the policies that apply to agrominiums or residential farm cooperatives only applies to the county's rural designation. So it doesn't apply to either the agricultural designation or the special agricultural designation. No doubt, Town of Blue Mountains has a bit of all three, but strictly speaking, if a brand new proponent were to come in and want to put in a residential farm cooperative or an agrominium, that would only be permitted on in the rural designation. If they set up that corporation or cooperative and something fell apart and they didn't wish to farm anymore, we can't force anyone to farm, but the policies are such that the densities proposed through the new policies would be more akin to what was already permissible via rural severances. So again, we're not talking 30 to 50 lots per 100 acres. We're talking 2 to 4 lots total. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But the way that the new policies are structured is that even if sort of this all fell apart, so to speak, we're still not looking at a large density of homes. With respect to Thornbury Acres, 3 of the 4 applications related to Thornbury Acres are currently before the Ontario Land Tribunal. So it'd be up to the Ontario Land Tribunal as to whether or not those proceed or not. There was the recent Official Plan Amendment number 25, which looked at adding an exception to the special agricultural lands associated with this development that would allow them to be farmed in association with the cooperative but that there could be no new homes or stormwater ponds or anything of that ilk built on the lands. And so that bylaw is going to County Council on June the 12th. But I just want to make it clear that official plan amendment number 23 only applies to matters going forward, and it doesn't apply to this very specific proposal in Blue Mountains. That's before the tribunal. But again, happy to connect offline if you want to chat further on any of that.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much, Scott. Any other questions or comments for Scott? Not seeing any more. Thank you very much for those reports, Scott. Appreciate that. Moving on to agenda number 6, roundtable discussion, my favorite part. This is everyone's opportunity to discuss sector trends and challenges that you're facing today. So really an opportunity for the farmers that are here today to discuss what's going on with all of your busyness of seeding, et cetera. What we talked tariffs the last time. Is anyone facing anything different now for that? Any topics, just fire them out. So just use the raise hand feature or blurt out, and let's get this discussion going, please. Crickets.
I'll start, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Paul.
So recently, we had a major weather event in the end of March that has greatly affected a certain small portion of Grey County and other areas in the province, and that was the ice storm and the damage to the trees. And I guess maybe from Keith's perspective or somebody else with regards to tree health and stuff, I remember the ice storm of 1998, and it did do some damage, which was everlasting in those trees that were, because it sort of broke out the top of those trees or the limbs, and exposes those trees to rot or decay and that kind of stuff. So I guess the question is, I don't know if anybody has anything else to share on that, or maybe through Keith to the Conservation Authority of tree health and stuff. I know it's going to take years and years to clean up a lot of the debris that has left a huge devastation through certain parts of small, it may be more Blue Mountains and Grey Highlands, but I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that. But basically, there's not much you can do other than, I guess, in the sense of the tree health. Hopefully, it will last. Or I know I did raise it through the tree cutting bylaw of certain exceptions where the trees are into the point where they're not going to survive and they may have to be harvested, just for that simple fact and that side of things. So I just throw it out. It was something that happened, unfortunately, and it did affect other parts of the province. I just came back from Ottawa there on this Monday, and there was certain parts around I guess north of Peterborough and across through Bancroft, a little bit more Aurelia, but I from what I witnessed, we got hit harder than I think those areas as well, and just we didn't get the media that came there, but I know it did go down into Dufferin County as well. So I just throw it out there. It's unfortunate, but it did affect a certain swath.
Thanks so much, Paul. Yes, your area was particularly compromised. We were driving from Hockley Valley home through Dufferin County. Could not believe that the tree plantations there, they were just all busted off. And, I have no idea what the answer is. I see Gail has her hand up.
Thank you. And I can talk about the orchards. We had choppers ready to go up and help. And so people put their big smudge pots out and started fires in their orchards. And, we waited and waited and we wondered what was going to happen. So I think we survived. The choppers were not needed. And so I think we came through it pretty good. I think we have the lake effect here for the apple orchards. And I can't speak for Meaford, but I know a few of the growers, they thought they were going to be devastated, but I think it did hurt the trees a little bit. So we'll have to see, when we start to thin, how this will affect the apples. But frost damages, when you start to green tip and then the frost comes in and the ice comes in and then it kills the trees completely. So we've got our fingers crossed, and we're just doing more planting right now and trying to get through that. But hopefully we'll just see what happens in a couple of weeks.
Wonderful, Gail. Thank you. Brenda?
I was wondering, I don't know if anyone here from the county could provide a bit of an update on if there has been any change, increase, decrease in take up of, I believe it's the county's plan to put in windbreaks and or keep up multiple rows of corn standing for keeping snow off of the roads. I know I've seen a little bit more of that. I don't know if it's just advertising or something in the past year or so. I'm just wondering if there has been more take up on that, because I have been hearing from a number of different areas, strange areas, that this is starting to be an idea that might be more popular. But I just wanted to know if there has been any effect at all.
So the living snow fence then, Brenda?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Randy, please.
Yeah, thanks for that, and through you, Chair Smith. Thank you for that question, Brenda. So a couple things that our climate change team are working with Transition Services to see how we can maybe improve the uptake of that program. In the past, we haven't seen as much uptake. I think it boils down to, in some cases, if there's going to be trees that are going to be planted within portion of, say, a farm field, what's the compensation model look like with respect to that? I think the program has been supportive in terms of planting of the trees, but it doesn't necessarily take into account, okay, what's the production area that's actually taken out there? And I think that's where some of the challenges on the uptake has been. I can note too that through the Youth Climate Change Action Fund that's been successfully acquired through the town of Blue Mountains, that we're trying to promote throughout the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation traditional territory as well. We think there's going to be hopefully some, and I haven't had updated this, but we think there's going to be some projects around this particular topic that we're really hoping to be able to see how it works. Maybe there's some learnings that will come from that as well. So I'd say stay tuned. We're hoping that to look for opportunities to improve that program and see how we can work with the farming community in terms of maybe increasing that uptake, especially after this past winter that we've had, right? With how many school day closures and other things like that. We heard a lot of comments actually from folks in terms of areas where there were trees, not much in terms of drifting, but areas where there was no trees, the visibility was nil at times, right? So it's how can we work together to try to provide those opportunities, especially in those areas where it makes the most sense, where we do see some of that heavy drifting. Can we work with some of those landowners to be able to move forward with programs of that nature? So that's just a quick update on where we're at.
Thank you, Randy, and congratulations on your promotion to
Thanks.
CAO. We know you'll do an outstanding job.
Oh, thanks.
Before we get too far away from the comment that Paul made about the ice damage to the trees, just wanted to ask Keith. Keith, do you have any input from the Conservation Authority with regards to the tree damage?
Yeah, I personally don't. I mean, I can ask definitely within the forestry department here, but I do have a small story too. I don't know a whole lot of the details, but we also had a neighbor not too far away that had hydropole damage. So they were on the hook for those to be replaced, and they did get insurance for it, but it was because of where the house was located in their corridor for their own hydro. So that's something to consider too. If it was for the farm, I don't think that they would have been compensated with their farm insurance package. So that was, I think a small family that was affected, but I did hear that story by hearsay last weekend. So, but that's something I can look into. I know there was, like you said, there's lots of areas that were heavily hit and others didn't get hardly anything at all. So I don't know what that means for the success of those trees. So.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Andrea.
Thank you. Through you, the chair, just to add on what CAO Schertzer had talked about in terms of the snow fencing. I know when I served on Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, there were some projects where they actually ended up pulling out the trees just because of the infiltration so far into the farm fields. So definitely as the CAO has said, it's a matter of compensation, but also just the logistics of farming and having to farm around it. I asked these questions, early in my term because I was curious. You think of those hedgerows in England, for example. Gail will know that the hedgerows in England, and how high they are, and wondering whether or not that would be some sort of solution. But I've been learning along the way, like all of us, that the physics is quite phenomenal. Like the how far back the living fence has to be in order for it to avoid. And it is interesting, as we've all said, that we all have our own My Rural Commute. I can drive down 9th Side Road, and you would think where there's trees blocking, that would be the clear stretch of road, but it's not. It's just as heavily covered in snow. So it continues to be a challenge, but we can learn from the best practices out there, right? That at least we've got those neighbors who have been trying it in our climate, in our particular neck of the woods here in Ontario, and find out maybe what we can learn before we proceed further. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrea. Paul?
Yeah, good comments. I have to leave here in about a minute, but I don't know if Keith could speak to it. Stewardship Grey Bruce does have some seed money for tree planting, and we did talk about, I missed the last meeting, but the meeting before, where we did talk about hedgerows or fence rows again, and that. So I don't know if Keith, if you're able to speak to that, but I know there was a bit of money set aside. So I guess probably through maybe Grace Albo, maybe. I don't know if Keith can speak to that.
Yeah, no, and I think I've been in touch with Randy as well too. There is other funds and possibilities that we can tap into if there is interested landowners, and there is opportunities for funding to help with those for sure. So, but yeah, Stewardship Grey Bruce is one, Alice is another, and Grace Sobel was successful with a RELP application that could also help with that. So I do believe there's opportunities for funding. It's just the logistics of getting those farmers on board. It could be complications over tile drainage, blocking those runs. There's lots of moving parts that to try to get them. And there was a 5-car pileup in between Annan and Leith this year because of someone stopped in the middle of it, and by the time it was all said and done, there was 5 vehicles. Nobody hurt, but yeah, talk about small hamlet of Annan and 5-car pileup. That's something you don't hear of. So yeah, there is importance, and Andrea said it as well. There's a good place for trees and there's a bad place for trees, and we definitely have to learn the science and physics behind it before we invest money into it as well.
Wonderful. Brenda, please.
And since Keith brought this up, and hope maybe Keith, you'll have an update here as well, drainage in terms of some of the new technologies or the new ways of doing drainage into sort of more managed wetlands areas, sediment areas, where farmers can both still be cropping quite extensively, but also sort of doing like a switch off on wetlands, and hopefully maybe setting things up where maybe there could be tree lines added in. I think last year there were a few sort of more larger events to do with like drainage demos out there, and I know there's the big one in the is it in Huron View or whatever. Is there any information about if any more of these demonstrations might be happening around our county this year?
Okay, so I'm in the hot seat today. We also, so a bit of an update on that. Last February or March, I believe, we had a meeting here with the contractors in the planning department within Grace Sobel to kind of open up conversation around permitting, when a permit is needed, looking at some of those options that we can do for outletting, in the sediment ponds, things like that, kind of just allowing a little bit of a change in mindset of how we outlet water into off farm, and looking at different principles around that. We had a farmer that's looking after the Huron View farm came up, and he is a great person to sit and listen to on his involvement with that project, where they did contour drainage. They did they're actually the biggest pilot they're working on this season is because of their proximity to, I believe it's a nursing home. There's a parking lot that they're going to harvest the water off of the parking lot and actually irrigate through the existing tile lines that they have. So there's, maybe not scalable to this, the size that what they're doing may not be scalable to each particular site in Grey County, but nonetheless, they're looking at different options and wondering how to do these different things. So yeah, that seems to be, I know the importance of drainage, and just making the Conservation Authority kind of learn the reasons why we're draining, and how we can, marry those two relationships together was an important step. And we've had site visits now following that meeting with planning staff and drainage contractors. I think has been better to make those relationships better. So a step in the right direction. And I think that the contractors, there were 7 different contractors able to sit in this meeting. So that's a step forward, and they were definitely glad to be invited, and hoping that they can do the same with the other CAs that they deal with outside our region. So so that's a step forward, and if we can replicate that, that's a step in the right direction. So when these drainage contractors are doing now, initial surveys, they have it in their mind that, there is options and funding available for outletting different, for berms, for grassed waterways. Those are all things that we can implement in those beginning stages, and learn from some of the mistakes I think that has happened down further south. So we're in good talks, and I think there is lots of information that still could be shared going forward as well. So yeah, that's kind of the Coles notes. Didn't prepare anything for that, but there is lots of discussion and talks, and I think it's kind of an exciting way that we can move forward. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Keith. A couple comments from Blair Freeman. He's in a noisy tractor, so he has put his comments in the chat, and so I will read them out. First off, he said the county has approached some of our landlords about leaving corn rows as snow fence. The real challenge is spring logistics. And then he also has a question. So is there an opportunity for the county to partner with townships on wild chervil control? It's taking off and getting much worse on township road ditches. Can anyone from the county here speak to that?
So I can speak briefly to that in terms of turbo control. I think this is something that's, through various forms of education awareness, trying to control some of this on at least the private lands. I know from on our county roads and county properties, we've been trying to do our best to try to mitigate against the spread of wild chervil. And then on the private lands, like I said, it's more been around the education awareness side, and same with local municipalities. It's about education awareness in terms of what's best practices, what have we been able to do in terms of trying to combat this the best we can. But as Blair's noted, it's in some cases, in some areas, it's a losing battle. We're seeing more spread in especially certain pockets of Grey County, and it's so I think it will take a collaborative approach to be able to tackle this, and to truly try to prevent the spread. So it's something that I can take back, and we can have some further discussions. We do have a county wheat specialist as part of our transportation services. That person wears multiple hats, but one of them is on the weed control side of things. So happy to take this comment back and have some further discussions with the staff person and the transportation services team in terms of what further steps we might be able to take to again work together to try to combat this.
Thank you, Randy. Yes, certainly it is in a lot of ditches, and when it starts getting into our ag lands, then we don't have many options. Unless things have changed, we don't have access to the same herbicide that the county uses, and so we don't have a lot of options. Tillage is one thing that can kind of try and keep it at bay, but if you have a hay field, you're out of luck. So Gail, you probably have something to add here.
I do. Thank you very much. So the town of the Blue Mountains is very proactive on this, and this came to from a member of my agricultural committee, and they really wanted something put out there. So we worked with our strategic initiatives individual, our director, and they put out a wonderful communication plan that sits on the Blue Mountain site about how, you know, or when we're going to be spraying and how we're going to be spraying and what this weed you know, how it affects the farmers. And so we do have there's a very small amount of people that don't want their properties sprayed. But the rest of us, we do want it sprayed. So I know that it works hand in hand. We do work with the county with this. And so I think each municipality has to really put out a terrific communication plan on how invasive it is and what it does to our crops. And I think people then understand what it's all about, because otherwise they just think it's a weed and they don't understand it can't get into your hay fields or your canola and into everything else. And so I think ours is working. And so, and if anybody wants to visit the Town of the Blue Mountains website on the Wild Charm, it's fabulous what they've done. And we also put it in newsletters that went out as well. So it's all about communication, and our staff has been very wonderful at doing this for us. So I wish more of the municipalities would have an ag committee, and then they could talk about this and their game plans. But if you don't have a game plan, nothing's going to work. So thanks.
So Blair has a question that probably will go back to you, Gail. Does Blue Mountains control chervil in township road ditches?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, any other questions or comments about anything? Any of our farmers have any sector challenges or trends that they want addressed here today? Not hearing anything. Okay, everything must be going rosy. That's great. Okay, moving on then, we have Randy, you want to do a transportation services update, please?
Yes, and this is before I do that, I just want to introduce Niall Lobley to the Ag Advisory Committee. So Niall is our new deputy CAO. Some of you may have worked with Niall when he was the CEO at Township of Georgian Bluffs, and so want to welcome Niall to this group. And yes, just before I go into the transportation project updates, wanted to wish just thank Niall for being part of Grey County team now. So he was part of Grey County team, but now he's really part of Grey County team, being part of Grey County. So thanks very much for that.
Welcome, Niall.
So on the 2025 road capital projects, I think this is a question that was raised at the last committee meeting in terms of just an update on some of the projects that our transportation services crews are working on. Unfortunately, the transportation services person wasn't able to join us today. They are busy working on those construction projects as we speak, as we're ramping up, obviously, into construction season. So I will try and provide as best of an update as I can about the project. So I'll just share my screen here. Can everyone see that? Oh, I have to hit the share button. Everyone see that?
It's coming. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So this is a map that was included in the package. It's a map that shows the various road projects that are occurring this year on county roads. And you can see there's the construction start date and construction end date. Some of that obviously will change slightly. We post this information on our county website through Municipal 501 as well. So that's probably the most up-to-date information is through our website or through Municipal 501 on these projects. I'll just provide a brief overview of the projects that are underway, either have started or will be starting very soon. So Grey Road 12, that's this red line here, located mostly in Meaford, part in Grey Highlands. It's 11.1 kilometers of pulverized and paved reconstruction. between Gray Road 40 and Gray Road 112, Side Road 16. There will be 3.3 meter lanes with approximately 1.2 meter paved shoulders as part of this project. There's culvert replacements, guide rail replacements. We're doing road platform widening in select locations. The anticipated project window falls between, so this project's already started on May 5th, and we anticipate ending in September 19th of this year. Gray Road 12, it'll be open to traffic with intermittent altering lane closures throughout the duration of construction. So that's an overview of that one. Gray Road 9, so this is this project down here, and we actually added on this piece of Gray Road 9 as well to the project. All our construction projects were under budget this year, so we're able to add that section as part of some of these savings that we were seeing some of the projects. So that's a section that was added on. So you can see there's basically 3 sections. So part of it is a pulverize and pave, and then an asphalt overlay in those blue sections. It's 5.5 kilometers of pulverize and pave, and that's from Gray Road Overnight project from Highway 6 to Gray Road 109, and then Gray Road 9 between Gray Road 23 to approximately 300 meters east of Southgate Side Road 3, and that's another 5 kilometers of overlay pavement preservation. For this one, it's 3.5 meter lanes with 1.25 meter paved shoulders. Removing, there's culvert replacements, there's guide rail replacements as well with this. We are, again, also doing platform widening in select locations. We anticipate the project windows fall between June 9th and July 31st of this year. Gray Road 14, so that's this section here in red. It's a pulverize and pave, about 5.4 kilometers. It goes from 800 meters south of Southgate Road 14 to Southgate Road 8. It's 3.5 meter lanes with 1.25 meter paved shoulders. Again, we're also doing culvert replacements and guide rail replacements as part of the project. There's also some bridge railing repairs that we're doing as part of this one too. The project window is anticipated from July 7th of this year to August 29th for that particular project. Gray Road 25, so that's this project here. It's a 11.3 kilometers overlay pavement, and it runs from Gray Road 3 to Highway 6. Again, 3.5 meter lanes, or there's some sections that may be 3.3 meter lanes with 1.25 meter paved shoulders where we can put those in. The anticipated project window falls from July 7th, and it's anticipated to end around August 15th. Gray Road 119, so that's up in this section here. It's 6.9 kilometers of overlay pavement. It runs from Gray Road 2 to Gray Road 13. Again, 3.5 meter lanes with 1.2 meter paved shoulders. And that's expected to run from June 2nd to June 27th. Gray Road 30, so this project here, it's in Gray Highlands. It's for this year, it's culvert removal and replacement. And we're removing approximately 10 culverts along that road section. And then next year we'll be doing asphalt paving and for the entire that road section. So we're doing the culvert work this year and then paving next year. The anticipated project window for this project this year is August 5th to September 26th. Gray Road 28, so that's in town of Hanover. So that's this small section here that's zoomed in. It's a joint project between Hanover and Gray County, and it's reconstruction of a section of road from 24th Avenue to 14th Street. And we're also replacing the traffic signals at the intersection of Gray Road 4 and Gray Road 28. So Gray County owns the road right away. The road is in poor condition and requires reconstruction. And Hanover's also has some municipal infrastructure within the corridor that requires replacement and updating. So that's why it's a joint project there. And then One project that's not highlighted on this map, I just wanted to flag for the group is there's intersection improvements also happening at Grey Road 1 and 14th Street West in Owen Sound. That's the intersection near the Owen Sound Legion. It's the current traffic signals are we're running into operational issues. So many of the components there have reached their end of life. So we need to rebuild that intersection and install new traffic signals and poles as part of that. So there will also be improvements to pedestrian access and egress ramping to and from the crosswalks in order to comply with AODA standards. So that's just a high-level overview of some of the road projects that are happening this year. I'm happy to take any questions. I might not be able to answer them if there's technical details, but I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Randy. Lots of activity and improvement happening on our roads, and that is wonderful. Anyone have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will move along. Thank you very much for that, Randy.
You're welcome.
Correspondence, is there any? Tara or Brittany?
There is no correspondence today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then other business. Does anyone have any other business to add? Gail? Yes.
Thank you. Yes, as everybody knows, I do sit on Blue Mountains Council, and I'm happy to announce I put forth a notice of motion several weeks ago about reducing the provincial tax rate on Ontario-made cider, craft cider. Craft cider was taxed, excuse me, at 60.4%. The same as fine wines. And so we have some craft cider breweries that are going out of business because they just are not making any money because of the tax. So we thought that if we could approach the province and bring the tax rate down to what the craft beer was at about roughly 34%, that would be a great asset to the cider people. So I put a notice of motion out. It was approved by our council. And so then I forward this on to various MPPs. And also I sit on Ontario Small Urban, and we had the annual meeting, and it was in Collingwood. So it was very short distance, and we had some great MPPs up, a lot of who I have worked in the past with, who sat on OSAM and AMO with me, that are now MPPs, and they realize the importance. This is 100% made in Ontario craft cider, and they're 100% grown in Ontario. So why are they being taxed the same as fine wines? So I talked to various people. I won't mention the MPPs' names that were there at the meetings, and I had their ear. And so I knew the budget was approaching. So we got this motion approved, and then it went out there, and the province then has now taxed craft cider at the same as craft beer. And the Cider Association has just gone through the roof. They are so happy. I'm happy because we have a lot of cideries in the town of the Blue Mountains, and so does Meaford. And everybody in Ontario's got a craft cidery. And, you know, I will mention MPP Graydon Smith, who the two of us were side gigs on OSAM, and he has a lot of cideries up there, and he realizes the importance in his own town in Gravenhurst that cideries can go out of business so fast because they're not making any money. So thank goodness this was approved, and I had to hold it under my hat for a few hours, and then people got known, and it went through. So now it's coming into effect on August the 1st. And so a lot of the cideries in our town are just like, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so is the association. So we probably will be meeting with Brian Saunderson, who is our MPP for Grey, and I sent it to Paul Vickers as well. And hopefully there'll be a presentation coming later on. And it's just a win-win for the ag business, because the apples that are being produced, or just small cideries, everybody, this is just huge. And I am just so thrilled that the province has finally sought, after 30 years of hounding them, that they finally came to their senses, and it is just remarkable. And I'm just so happy. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. And I know I said to Lori, if I could just tell everybody what our council has done, because it's not just me, it's our council and our great communication staff, that we put this out there, and we're trying to work with everybody. So and my ag committee as well, everybody was just so thrilled. So that's all I have to say. It was just, I'm still hyped up about it. So it's a great thing. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Gail, and congratulations for all your hard work paying off. That's wonderful. Any other business? I have a few, but I'll wait till everyone else has an opportunity. No one else? So first off, I'm always promoting Grey Bruce Farmers Week. So Grey Bruce Farmers Week 2026, it's our 60th anniversary. It will go from January 7th to 12th. So mark those dates in your calendar. Beef Day, then Dairy Day, Goat Day, Sheep Day, Horse Day, Crops Day. The committee have made the ecological committee within the larger committee recommended that we dissolve Ecological Day and instead put those topics, sustainable type topics, on all of the days. So that's what's happening. So we're going down to 6 days this year. It will end on Monday, on the 12th, for Crops Day. And we're making every effort to either make concurrent presentations that will be sustainable or incorporated into the main part of the agenda, or have some on demands. So we're working on all the agendas now for the various days, Emily and I are, and we look forward to an amazing 60th anniversary. Talking about anniversaries, Grey Ag is 25 years old this year. So we've been in service for 25 years. Pretty amazing. Ray Robertson is our founder, and we work hard every day to support agriculture, support farmers in Grey County and far beyond. And so we have a tremendous team. And so we're going to have a little celebration in June, and we're looking forward to that. A couple of events to emphasize as well. Forage Expo. So Ontario Forage Council happens out of our office as well, Rebecca and Patricia. And so they're having their Forage Expo in Bruce County this year on June 26th from 10 till 3 at Trailford Farms near Paisley. It's free, no registration is required. And if you need any information, you can go to onforagenetwork.ca for all the details and check that out. It's always a great event. Grey Soil and Crop is having their crop walk in conjunction with the Ontario Canola Growers Association. So in the morning of July 23rd, we'll be near Strathaven, another small town. And in the afternoon, we'll be in Fairmount, another small little community. And so we're going to look at a dairy organic operation in the morning and some pasture stuff. And in the afternoon, canola. A lot of details on that. So we're really pleased to be partnering with the Canola Growers Association for this event as well. So those are the main things I have. Has anyone thought of anything else for other business? Gail, please.
Yes, I did. It's Local Food Week from June the 2nd till the 8th. And I just want to promote everybody just to eat local, and just support the farmers. And for the farmers that are here, we do all we can. So it's just I still see US apples, and it just drives me crazy because there is no tariff on apples. And last year we were flooded from Washington State and New York State. And I just hope that doesn't happen again, because last year was not a good year for apple growers in the Georgian Bay area. So hopefully the province and the country can get together and stop the flood of apples coming in from the US, because we need to promote Ontario apples. We need to promote Ontario food. We need to promote anything Ontario made and grown here. So I just would hope everybody would support Local Food Week.
Thank you, Gail. Just a question about the apples, Gail. We had a fairly, I would say, harsh frost on Sunday night, Monday morning. Any in your area?
Our bloom has gone already, and our bees were madly at work. We bring in about 150 boxes. And we asked the beekeeper to come and collect his bees. They had done their work. And so we're hoping that we got a good catch. And hopefully the fingers are crossed, but no, we didn't get frost here. So it was borderline, but everybody was, all the growers were watching the temperatures, and everybody's talking at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, like, what do we do? So I think we were okay because of the lake effect again. So keep the fingers crossed again.
Yes, great. Thank you. Okay, moving along then, our next meeting date is September 3rd, 2025 at 9 a.m. And if there is nothing further, I would like to adjourn this meeting at 10:22. Could someone please make a motion? Gail has made that motion and Andrea seconded if we need a seconder. Thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in September. In the meantime, have an amazing summer and a safe summer, and we'll see you then. Take care, everyone.